Hello everyone, and as you can tell by the title of this video, I'm going to be talking about History Is All You Left Me by Adam Silvera. Adam Silvera is an author that I have been aware of for quite a while. However, his previous book, More Happy Than Not, is actually not available in the UK. So prior to this book, I had read nothing that he'd written. I started hearing about History Is All You Left Me because there was quite a big buzz going around in the book community. But at the time, the premise was interesting, but I just had too many books to read that I wanted to get through those before buying and reading anything new. Anyway, Adam Silvera has a YouTube channel which I will link down below, and he did a video where he read the first chapter of this book, and when he'd finished reading it, I found myself wanting more. The story follows a boy called Griffin who is about to attend the funeral for his ex-boyfriend Theo, and the narrative flits between the present and history, which shows how Theo and Griffin became friends, how they came out to each other, how their relationship formed, what led to them breaking up, all of the firsts that they had together, and inevitably how Theo died. So you have those stories covered in the history chapters, and then in the present you have the process of Griffin slowly adjusting to a world without Theo in it. I found myself caring so much about their story and the process in which it developed, and that just made it hurt all the more when you came back to the present day chapters and you realised that those are just memories and Theo is dead and there's not going to be any more happy memories. In a sense, you're kind of mirroring what Griffin feels because he's reliving all of these wonderful happy memories that he had with Theo, knowing that that's it, that's all he's ever going to have of this person is just memories. At times it almost felt too personal to read because Griffin is directly addressing Theo throughout this story, so it almost feels like you've picked up a long letter or a kind of a diary that was meant for Theo accidentally, and it's something that you shouldn't be reading. I didn't expect the funeral aspect to be over so quickly. It's like the first kind of like 15 to 20% and then it's done, and then we're moving on to Griffin adjusting to a Theo-free world. And something else that was a sort of interesting addition is that when Griffin goes to this funeral for Theo, he comes face to face with Theo's current boyfriend, Jackson, who was there on the day that Theo died. So you've got kind of what you think is going to be this really big rivalry which Griffin goes through in the narrative of he feels like this person stole Theo from him. Even though when Jackson and Theo got together, Griffin and Theo were already broken up at that point. He comes face to face with what you expect to be a nemesis, but actually becomes someone that Griffin finds solace in. And he says at one point in the book that, you know, everyone expects them to move on, but Jackson is the only other person who is feeling the same thing that Griffin's feeling because, you know, they didn't just lose a friend, they lost someone that they both deeply cared about. And you have a bisexual in this book, which is great. It's another male bisexual character, but I will take representation where I can get at this point. However, it does fall to some kind of stereotypes which really let me down a little bit, and by the stereotypes I mean the whole, well, you're more likely to cheat on me, how do I know you really love me, because I'm not just competing with all the other men in the world, I'm now competing with all the other women in the world, which is, I feel, a very harmful narrative because I've experienced that personally in my life where people have second guessed my relationships because of that reason, and it's not something that I enjoy. So it wasn't something that was, it felt like in a way it was something that was put there to kind of cause problems between these two characters more than anything. However, another thing that's great that's happening a lot in young adult at the minute is sex positivity, because you have a lot of firsts in this book, from the first time that they have sex to the first time that they buy condoms. But it's great to see that included and that it's talked about, and that the awkwardness of that first time is represented there as well, where it's not as like clean and great as you see it in the movies, and how incredibly awkward it is to go out and buy protection knowing that someone that you may know could be at the same store. So it was great on that aspect. There are a lot of things that I liked, but there are also a lot of things that I didn't, including, funnily enough, Griffin as a character. I started off really liking him and, you know, being really invested in him as a person and really feeling for what he was going through. But a lot of what he does is really negative. He does a lot of things to get back at Theo, which I don't agree with, and kind of made me second guess his character. He does seem to use people a lot as a way to try and get over Theo, but at the same time you could argue that everyone deals with grief differently and some people will do that whereas some people won't. That's all I have to say on History Is All You Left Me by Adam Silvera. Have you read the book? Let me know what you thought in the comments below, and I will be back with a new video soon. Bye!